Right, so today we'll be reinstalling the front wheel on my BMW S1000RR 2021. There's a couple of warnings in the manual. Using a non-standard wheel can result in malfunctions of the ABS and DTC systems. Tightening threaded fasteners to incorrect torque can lead to damage or threaded fasteners working themselves loose. So it says to always have the security of the fasteners checked by a specialist workshop, preferably by an authorized BMW Motorrad dealer. And the last one is if you install the front wheel the wrong way round, that can lead to a risk of accident. So note the direction of rotation arrows on the tire or the rim. Now, I didn't see any direction of rotation arrows on the rim, but on the tire over here, it says front use only with an arrow pointing in this direction towards my face here. So just keep that in mind. If you're fitting your own tires or the tire shop doesn't know which way around to fit it, maybe just use this as reference. You can see the pattern of the spokes. It goes in a certain direction. The design can help you to confirm that. So my calipers are in position there, but I want to remove them and place them on top of this wheel cover here. So I'm going to do that now. Alright, so I've got my little towel here. And I just want to protect the paint on this wheel cover. So then take the bolts out. And get the caliper out of the way. Got these bolts over here. Just note that this little bracket is attached to the top caliper bolt. So then just be careful with the wheel speed sensor wire. So then remember that your wheel speed sensor is still removed from its socket. Alright, so now I'll be installing the wheel. This little sensor ring goes on the other side. So there it says front use only and the little arrow to confirm. So it has to go in this way. I'm going to go grab the axle now. So we'll need to support the wheel from underneath now. Slid it onto the spacer on that side. And then we insert the axle. You just want to feel it to start threading. Make it look nice. But you don't really want to clean it because there's grease on there. So just line up the axle and start threading it in. There we go. Now we've got our axle tool here. In this case we're using the 24. So the ratchet goes onto the opposite side. 24 can go in there, like that. There we go. So I just have it lightly snugged up in there. So now I'll be getting our torque wrench out. And the torque for the axle is 50 Newton meters. So next we're going to be torquing these two little bolts here. These are T40 bolts and they are torqued to 19 Newton meters, 19. Tighten the screws 6 times in alternate sequence. So I'll start with this one. 1. And then 1 over there. Number 2. Number 2 over there. Number 3. Number 3 over there. And that was my click. And that was the second click. So these are now both tightened to 19 Newton meters. So the brake caliper pins have this little circlip at the end. They call it a retaining clip. And so before you remove this pin, you're supposed to unclip this and getting the clip off. And then you can remove the pin. So now we'll be installing the pins first and then putting this back on. Now, I didn't do this initially when removing the first set of pins. So these little guys expanded and then they wouldn't clip anymore. And I'm not comfortable with just bending them back. And BMW only sells both pins with the clips, including the retaining clip as well, in one set. And so I've had to find a specialist fastener shop or engineering shop that sells these little circlips separately, and I found some of them, so I'll just be putting new ones on all around. Got my new original brake pads. You should find the part number on there. These are the old ones versus the new ones. So my old ones weren't actually that bad. But while we're in here, we may as well put some fresh pads in. Beautiful. Nice satisfying click. And there you have it. Alright, so the torque for the caliper bolts that hold the caliper to the frame or to the bracket here is 38 Newton meters. The spring clip is going in. And it sits like that. Now the brake pads go in. So that they sit against that spring pad. And make sure that the spring pad is centered so that the load is evenly spread. So I'll just take the spanner gently in between the new pads. Seems to be working nicely. And we are ready to install the pins. Is in position. So now on the back of the caliper where the pins go, clipped it on with my nail like that, normal position. So now caliper can go onto the wheel bracket. This bottom bolt, just get it started by hand, and the top bolt has the bracket on for the wheel speed sensor wire. Number 13 socket with 38 Newton meters on the torque wrench. That's it. We've got the wheel speed sensor wire over here, so that clips onto this little bracket there, clipped in into the bracket which is on the bolt. There we go. Just make sure there is enough slack throughout, and then the actual wheel speed sensor can go back into its hole, and I've got a new bolt for it. Since it has some special thread locker on it, it's called micro encapsulated thread locker, and the bolt comes with this kind of thread locker pre-applied. So my understanding is that you cannot apply this. So if you're reusing your bolt, you'd have to clean this off and use medium strength thread locker, and then just a tiny amount, maybe just like one drop, similar to what's going on here, And then you can secure that into wheel speed sensor bolt threads. E38 Newton meters. And that's it. Beautiful. Wheel speed sensor is secured. So now we're just going to pump the brake lever until it becomes firm. And that feels good to me. We may now remove the front stand. So I'll lift it up here. There we go. Just hold these prongs. And she's ready to ride. So I will take her for a ride as soon as possible. Alright guys, so thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful. Drop any questions in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time.